Hello, this is Captain Joel, and welcome to my latest Marvel Puzzle Quest video. In this video, we are going to be looking at the newest 5-star character, somebody that we've all been wanting for a long time, Thanos, the Mad Titan. So, he was just released today. They actually released two versions of him. They released a 3-star and a 5-star version. The 3-star version is horrible, so you can ignore him. The difference between the characters is pretty much just the Infinity Gauntlet over here in terms of artwork design. There's some other small differences, but he doesn't really look that different in the other version. Um, so this is from a comic in the 90s. There was a series they had where Thanos basically um, tried to get the Infinity Gauntlet and then killed half the people in the universe, and everybody tried to fight him and they couldn't stop him. And he basically had to. Well, you can go and read the comic yourselves. It's pretty short. It's only, I think, 6 or so issues, maybe 8. Not that long. Um, Although you probably won't understand most of it without a little bit of background, but it's an okay comic run. So, searching for ultimate power, Thanos the Mad Titan assembled all 6 Infinity Gems as the Infinity Gauntlet, making himself into a god. Snapping his fingers, Thanos eliminated half of all life in the universe, hoping to please his mistress, Death. This combination of power, cunning, and madness make Thanos the greatest threat the heroes of the galaxy have ever faced, and he defies them to stop him. So, I personally like the character Thanos. It's funny if you read enough of him because in some of the comics he's actually almost sympathetic, despite being a horribly evil creature that's killed more than anything else ever. Um, but as a character in Marvel Puzzle Quest, he brings some interesting new skills to the game, and he's actually a pretty good character. So, first, I want to show you um, if he's useful at all with just a couple covers, and then we're going to look at him max level. So right now he's level 345 with 2 covers in each color. So we'll go over the skills in a bit more detail later, but basically he has more health than the other 5 stars, and his match damage is a bit higher, but his skills are really not that scary. At level 345, I think I would be more afraid of Old Man Logan because of Old Man Logan's healing. I think a part of what makes Thanos scary is his high health because it's so hard to get him down quickly, and that makes there a greater chance of him getting off some of his other skills. Um, the black skill, as we'll look into it later, only activates after killing somebody, so that doesn't really help unless you're killing people already. I wouldn't be afraid of fighting that for sure. I make sure my character never dies. And his purple, as we'll look at soon as well, it kind of scales, but only by match damage. So it doesn't really get much better when you get higher level, except for your match damage getting better. And the green is his real damage move, but again, it's a bit expensive and it doesn't do that much more than currently existing 4 stars when boosted. In fact, it does even less than a boosted 4 star like Jean Grey. So I don't think he's that useful at 2 covers in each color. At 3 covers in each cover, he starts to be a little bit scarier. His health is already the same level as a max level Old Man Logan just about, and is actually higher than Doctor Strange. by over 5,000, which is kind of funny. So he's definitely high up there in health. But his skills, they start to do a bit more damage now at this point. Um, I still don't think I would be afraid of fighting him over Old Man Logan, though, because he doesn't really pack that full oomph until he gets more covers. Now at max level, Thanos is a whole nother topic. So at level 450, he's got 64,964 health. That's over 10,000 more health than any other level 450 5-star. So he's already taking a lot more damage um, ability. That's pretty scary. And then his match damage. So he's 671 in his strongest match damage. Strange is only 630 in his strongest match damage. Black Suit Spider-Man has in the 650s as well. Old Man Logan starts to come close, but still not there. Now, as we'll see when we look at his skills, he's a black, purple, green character. The fact that he does even a little bit more match damage is compounded by his purple skill, which boosts his match damage even more. So just playing with him, you're going to be doing more damage without even using any moves than any of the other 5-stars currently out. And now to get to his actual skills. So his first skill is a black passive called Court Death. So Thanos desires to please his mistress Death, make him a terrifying threat and a volatile ally. When you down an enemy, when it says when you down an enemy, it does not mean Thanos, it means anybody on your team. Stun all characters except Thanos for, this is at 3 covers, 1 turn, and at 5 covers it jumps up to 2 turns. Now remember, when it says 1 turn, that means that it goes to them, and then boom, it's their turn again. So very little extra time you get from that. But and then it deals at 3 covers 12,881 damage to all enemies, which would mean either 1 or 2 remaining enemies, and 4,480 to Thanos' allies. The damage bumps up just a little bit. It jumps up from 12,881 to 14,002 at 4 covers. So there's pretty much no difference between 3 and 4 covers. And then at 5 covers, you get that extra stun, and the damage dealt is still 1,400, but the damage to the Thanos allies is dropped by around 1,000 to 3,472. So the damage difference between 3, 4, and 5 is very minimal. So I think the main consideration of whether or not it's worth going for 5 in this skill is if you want that the extra turn of stun. Now remember, that stuns his teammates as well. And you have to really consider how often this move is going to go off in a match. It's going to go off at most twice in a match, and you have to have killed an enemy before it even is used once. And the second time it would go off would actually be not that helpful. Sure, you might do 14,000 damage to the last guy, but you're going to have also dealt, if you have your other 2 teammates alive, another 6,000 to 7,000 worth of damage to them. Of course, by the second time this goes off, you will have now dealt 28,000 damage. So I guess in theory you could, as long as the enemy doesn't heal, you could knock out 2 enemies, and by that time the third one will be dead just from this move activating twice. So it's kind of hard to figure out how useful this particular skill is in terms of how often it's going to activate during a match. On defense, this skill's probably going to be useless unless Thanos gets a lucky cascade. So I don't think this is that great of a defensive skill since it's easier to avoid your character getting killed. But I think on offense, it can pretty much mean that you only need to kill two enemies. Especially if you're playing PvP, the 3-star boosted is likely going to be much easier to take out than a 5-star teammate. So you can just focus down the 3-star and boom, that's a free 28,000 damage to the enemy team. So I think this is a really good skill. It's just a little bit tricky to figure out how often you're actually going to be able to get to use it. Um, I mean, I guess in theory you'll get to use it twice a match. So this is also very bad for your team on health packs because if it if it's going off twice a match, you're going to have around 7,000 damage done to each of your teammates. So the 3-star is definitely going to need a health pack probably, unless they're really high level 3-star. And even the 5-star is going to get worn down over time unless you bring a healer with you. So um, it's definitely a health pack using a skill. Thanos' next skill is a purple that costs 8 AP called Infinite Power. Invulnerable, immortal, and nearly all powerful, Thanos bends his foes to his will. At 3 covers, create a 3-turn purple countdown tile. It jumps up to 4 turns at 4 covers, and it doesn't go up any more turns at 5. While this tile is on the board, Thanos deals at 3 covers an extra 65% match damage, and no tiles may be destroyed or changed except by Thanos. Tiles may still be matched away. So going from 3 to 4 covers only gives you 1 extra turn, and going from 4 to 5 makes the match damage bump up from 65 to 80%. So let's just give an example of how much extra damage that will do. So his black is 671 damage, meaning if you make a match 3 with black, you're going to be doing just over 2,000 damage regularly. Now, if you have that damage boosted 65%, it will do around 3,300 damage, meaning you're going to be doing around 1,300 damage more a turn if you're making Thanos' most powerful match. Especially this is going to be compounded if you were to have a critical tile on the board that you can match, or a match 5. So even at 3 turns, that's going to mean around 3,600 or so extra damage for 8 AP. So that's not great for the 5-star world, but it is something worth noting. And if you're going to have him at 5 covers and doing 80% extra damage, and you get that extra turn, you will be doing around 6,400 extra damage over the course of that 4 turn that the countdown tile is out. So again, not a huge difference unless you're looking at critical tiles, but it's still a decent extra amount of damage for a cheap cost. But what really makes this skill special, and it's going to be not as useful in the hands of the AI again, making Thanos a bit less useful on defense than on offense, despite his high health, which that alone could be enough to make the difference. But still, the big part is this part that no tiles may be destroyed or changed except by Thanos. Now, we're going to look at what that means, but essentially, it prevents other tiles from coming out on the board. For example, Old Man Logan, he's not going to be creating strike tiles anymore. Somebody's trying to create a countdown tile, won't go on the board. Somebody's trying to change the colors of a tile, for example, Phoenix, won't happen. So he's pretty much nullifying a huge amount of the special abilities in the game. in the 5-star world at least, which is incredibly useful and should not be understated. The thing is, it relies on timing, so you really have to have the 8 AP when you need it to make this useful, and you have to use it tactically. But it's still a very interesting skill, and it doesn't matter whether you have it at 3 or 5 covers in terms of getting that part of the ability. The only question is, are you really going to care about that extra turn that you can prevent those tiles from changing? Um, so I, I think it really depends what the match has in store for you, if it's worth that extra turn and giving up the power and the other skills. Um, I personally think this is probably the best skill that's left at 3, but again, it really determines on the opponents you're facing. And lastly is his green. Come and get me. It costs 12 green AP, which is a decent amount, but he'll definitely be able to get it off with his high health. Thanos stands against the tide of his enemies before unleashing his wrath. Places a 3-turn countdown tile that moves Thanos to the front at the end of the turn. When the countdown tile goes off, at 3 covers, you deal 16,577 damage to the enemy team. At 4 covers, 18,369, and at 5 covers, 20,273 damage. That's huge. The difference between 3 and 5 covers is going to be around 11,000 total damage if the enemy has all 3 of their characters alive at that point in time. So you're getting a pretty big damage boost from 3 to 5 covers. So I think that he's probably best at a 5-3-5 build. Now let's take a look at him in action. Okay, let's see how his infinite power works. So right now, the enemy has 5 blue AP, which would allow Vision to activate his density tile, and that would in turn also allow Old Man Logan on their team to create more strike tiles. So by activating infinite power, I am preventing for the next 3 turns Vision from being at all useful, and Old Man Logan won't be creating any special tiles. And you get to choose any purple tile. So I'm going to put it all the way in the corner here to make sure it doesn't get matched away. And I am also going to match away this tile. So as you saw, they did not use that skill. Notice that even my own teammates cannot activate any special tile type things besides Thanos. So you have to plan out how you're going to use this skill properly to not hurt yourself. Nevertheless, this is a pretty good skill, as you can see. And the match damage obviously adds up. This type of skill is also really good for when you're fighting against Phoenix, because her countdown revive tile will not go out on the board, which will be able to completely change your strategy from when you normally fight her. Normally you would leave Phoenix for last, or maybe Old Man Logan, because you don't want her to come back and have to kill her again. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore. Now, the best way to make use of this come and get me power, his green, is to have infinite power out at the same time, since he's going to be taking that damage no matter what with green, so you might as well get that match damage in as well. And it should pretty much be game over after this. guess the order it resolved does matter. So that was. Oh, wait. It's too late. Oh well. Anyhow, as you saw, it can pretty much create a cascade of loss where if one of your characters dies, the other dies because of Court of Death. Or rather, one of your opponent's characters dies, the other will also die. And that can pretty much knock out the entire team once you've taken out one of them. So it's a pretty scary skill to go up against. Definitely not something to ignore or take lightly. Ah, dang it. As you can tell, it really puts a hamper in your enemy's plans. Great skill. Upon further consideration, I think I'm going to have to bump up my feelings on how good Court Death is. Now that we've seen it in action a bit, it really is a lot better than it looks at first because if you're able to take out two, if you have one character hurt and the other you kill in a turn, you can kill just one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Again, it's a huge health pack sink, but it can pretty much make it so that once you've kill one character, the match is over. So I really like this skill, but take into account Thanos did take a lot of damage. He's going to be tanking a lot of colors, um, and he's going to be doing more damage than anybody else with his match damage, and he's going to be in the front a lot. So you're going to go through a lot of health packs because not only is Thanos getting hit because of his higher match damage and his green skill, but also his teammates are going to be going through health packs because of the Court Death skill, which is going to be going off at least twice a match, maybe three times a match if you're going up against Phoenix. So you have to really go through a lot of health packs to use him effectively. So who make the best teammates for Thanos? It's a bit tricky because he does have two very common colors, purple and green, for characters that will go with him. For example, I would think Green Goblin would be good to use, but then you're going to have the competition for purple, and it's kind of tricky. I guess you can choose whose purple you would rather use, but the Goblin Glider will definitely make it easier to deal out some quick high damage and activate Court Death for Thanos, and you can use Trick or Treat to finish off the enemy if Thanos' purple is not good enough. But I'm still not sure that he's the best character because he doesn't have any healing. Phoenix, you're going to be competing for purple again, and also you're going to have to um, figure out if Phoenix does come back, you're going to have to time things perfectly for when you use Thanos' purple, or you won't be able to have Phoenix come back from the ashes or create strike tiles with her red. So I think that that's kind of a limiting factor as well. Old Man Logan is good because of his healing. He can take a lot more of Thanos' team damage. However, you're not going to be able to activate his red strike tiles as much because you're going to have Thanos preventing that with his purple, and Thanos has one expensive move and one cheap move that prevents the creation of Old Man Logan's strike tiles. So you're pretty much going to have to rely on whoever the boosted PvP character is for that event, or in PvP on a third teammate. Because with just Thanos and Old Man Logan, you're not going to be able to create that many strike tiles for Old Man Logan. For Black Bolt, his green is, I guess, a bit better than Thanos' green. and you could get enough. You're not really boosting anything because you only have green as your only active skill besides purple, really. Um, so I don't really see Black Bolt as being all that useful. Both Iron Man and Captain America rely on changing tiles or creating special tiles. For example, the blue creates converts tiles, which you can't do with Thanos' purple. Yellow creates countdown tiles, again, can't do with Thanos' purple out. And Steve Rogers is also about creating special tiles as well as his countdown tiles. So a huge number of characters, pretty much the purple that Thanos has will prevent them from going off properly. Same with Doctor Strange. You're not going to be able to get his blue skill out. It's just going to stun, and that's it. I have Agamotto. Well, you wouldn't want to use both of those anyhow. Um, so I feel like you could use Black Widow. I know a lot of people are fans of her, but I'm not a big fan of her. First off, you have again purple conflicting. Um, Obviously, you might rather just have an option for purple, either doing damage over time or, it might be like a tactical move, and you can use the damaging skill from Black Widow instead. And you do have both a red and the black active that you could use. So it does give you some more options for high damage if you can get the AP. So that might be a good potential teammate, um, but you still don't have any healing for her. So I think that you're kind of left with only one ideal teammate, and that's Silver Surfer, because he can heal up the damage that is being done by Thanos, and he can't be stunned by Thanos. And you've got actives in three colors that Thanos does not have, both in black and red and blue. So I think that Silver Surfer is probably right now the best teammate for Thanos. You could argue maybe that some of the others would be good in certain situations, but I think Silver Surfer is the most reliable overall for playing multiple matches. So I would say stick with Silver Surfer in the 5-star world. So let's do a quick match and just verify if this team will work properly. Strategy-wise, I think the goal with Thanos is to basically get a cascade of death. I'm going to try to get vision down to 20,000 and then move on to the next enemy. And try to get as much green as I can. Okay, time to move on. Ugh, why'd they have to do that? Okay. Oh no. You robbed me. You freaking robbed me. Okay, I gotta use this now. It's the only way. Okay. Hope he doesn't match that. Did you see that? Old Man Logan, he just used his Living Legend skill, but he didn't create any strike tiles because I had the purple out. So they just ended their turn and did nothing. Literally nothing. That's great. That is freaking great. That is great. That's a shame. But it does not matter. Thanos hype train has started. All aboard! There's nothing you can do now. Nothing. You're dead. You're only delaying the inevitable. Okay, bye-bye. Oh look, you still have 10,000 left. Nope, you're dead. So Silver Surfer came out of that match was only 3,000 damage done and rapidly healing. So I think, and Thanos also had around 38,000 health left at the end of that match. So I think that they make a pretty good team. And I think Thanos is really an awesome character, and you can pretty much end any match once you have 12 green, because by that time you've probably beaten somebody down to around 20,000 health. So once one guy's down to 20,000 health, then it's game over, because you activate green, boom, he's dead. The other guys have lost 20,000 each. Then you have black activate, another 14,000, so that's going to be 34,000 damage. That probably will be able to take out one other guy, if not be close enough, even if not the other. So if that takes out the second guy, boom, you've now gotten from the single 20,000 damage move, you've gotten another 28,000. That's 48,000 damage you're going to be dishing out. So except against another Thanos, it's pretty much game over once you get his green out. So I think Thanos is an awesome new character. He adds both some tactical skills to the game with his purple. His green is just a standard AoE move, but his black completely changes the way you're going to be playing the matches. And I think that he's probably going to become the newest best PvP character because he's just so quick. On defense, I don't think he'll be as scary, and I think not so many people will be afraid of fighting him. I think that it's very likely that he will be targeted despite his high health in PvP. However, I think that once he's championed even more, people that like to get their level 555 stars, his health is going to be ridiculous, and at that point, he's just going to be overshadowing everybody else in the game. So I think Thanos is the new number one 5-star in the game. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you want more videos, and thanks for watching.